Clash of Titans today. We've got two kings of the alt-race community hitting up against each other here. It's going to be a GVT, and we're going to do it on one of my all-time favorite maps, Death Aura. There are rich Vespene gas geysers in the forward positions in the middle of the map, and control of those points can often be decisive. Initial supply structures going down for both players. Remember, the node helps Genetron generate that all-important energy. Genetron has that fourth resource that has to be managed. This map also has a collection of acceleration zones, by the way, so you can get to your opponent's main a little bit faster than you'd expect. Rax goes down for Terran. I think that means we better pay attention to our intros here. Yep, there's our manufacturer. I want to make sure everybody appreciates who we're dealing with here. And that includes our Terran player in the upper left, who is a Grandmaster from Australia. When my ex dumped me like a wet rag, she told it to me straight. It's not me, it's you! Oh, our Genetron player is stacking minerals. He's gonna take that natural. I think. Yes, he is, but let's give credit where credit is due. Our Genetron player in the lower right is the iconic killer who haunts Crystal Lake. He is Jason! Both our players have multiple IDs, so you might know them by different names. You is known to most of us as Magical Cookie. Jason, we've cast him before as Asur. And the last time we cast Jason and he was playing Genetron, he actually stayed on Spitfires, the Genetron's most basic unit, for a very long time. He used it to very great effect, and he saved a ton of gas doing that. One of the challenges that you's gonna have is he's gonna have to push him off that unit. If you can't counter the Genetron Zergling, you don't have much hope. A quick third for Jason. That's significant greed for Genetron, but I like it here, I'll tell you why. As an apex predator in the alt-races scene, Yu is rightfully very confident in his late game. He does not have a lot of pressure to rush or do early timing attacks. Knowing that, playing the player, a little extra greed makes some sense here. Spitfire pops out, bad timing for that SCV. Oh yeah, we're gonna get that first blood right out of the way. And just to be cool about it, Jason multitasks and gets in his mining priority. Terran taking his natural. It's not a Reaper expand though. Instead, Yu's going right to a triple Rax. With the reactor. If this is Mass Marine, I wasn't expecting that. Normally a Terran player's afraid to go heavy on Marines against Genetron because of the Inciter. It just chews them up, but maybe he's thinking that Jason doesn't do Inciters. He's in love with the Spitfire. Maybe we got some crystal ball action going on here. The meta is really starting to gel, and the reputations of some of the major players are starting to get known. Or it's all just a fantasy in my head and these are just build orders, but I love it. Because it's triple manufacturer against triple Rax right now. It is shaping up to be Spitfires versus Marines. Workers are even, Terran's out mining thanks to the magic of mules, but that third base is gonna kick in. That Spitfire is guarding the Reaper door, but there's no Reaper on the way. Nope, he's gonna relocate to cover the natural. Man, I love this map. It's such a beautiful place for armies to die. And by playing purple, Jason has decided to match the local flora and fauna. Aesthetics are everything, people. Third base is now fully operational, and Yu is not aware of it. Though he might have guessed it, Jason's reputation is definitely out there. Though it does look like Yu's expecting attack, he's got a fully loaded bunker protecting his natural. And he's building his third and his main for safety. Oh, but check that rally point. He's gonna use it to load up his natural faster with SCVs. It's those little econ edges that make a player like Yu so dangerous. It is the customary slaying of the unbuildable plates. Double reactors for Terran means stim and combat shields are getting simultaneously researched. Genetron is, yes, starting up +1 light weapons. That is something the Spitfires will use, and here they come, zipping through those acceleration zones. That bunker is starting to look like a pretty good idea for you right about now. Oh, but he is picking this exact moment to try to build outside it. Might be an easy pick-off for Genetron here. Marines coming down the ramp to respawn. Building SCV gets slaughtered. Oh, Yu gets the cancel. Good reflexes there. Jason peels off his injured Spitfire. Oh, if he actually repairs that later, we're gonna be best buddies. I love it when players actually look after their units. Oh, good decision making here. Jason realizes he can't do anything with that bunker there apart from lose his army. He sniped a worker, he's forced to cancel. Better than having your army sitting around. Puts your opponent on the defensive instead of having him attack you. Actually, you was the guy who got attacked. This name continues to vex me. Anyway, forward relay tower for Genetron. We do see that a lot. Although the tower does relay energy, which is important, it also unlocks the processor, which is very key. I don't see one being built just yet. What we do see is Spitfire speed is being researched. Calibrated engines, because nobody likes their engines uncalibrated. Oh, counterattack for you. Actually, it's for Jason, but you know what I mean. So much for you not relying on timing attacks. He stepped out as soon as stimming combat shields completed. And if he hurries, he might hit before the Genetron upgrades kick in. It's gonna be awfully close, though. Look for that stim. There it is! +1 attack has finished for the Genetron. Some of the Terran shots got wasted on that relay tower. And now it's the Spitfires that have the concave. They clean it up. And the Terran assault falls flat. And it looks like Jason's contemplating celebrating by taking a 4th. If he goes 4 bases to 2, Terran will be in trouble. Mules aside. A huge investments in interdictors at the main there. Genetron is definitely harass-proof. No turrets for you. Sounds like the Soup Nazi. No turrets for you! Seinfeld reference. I don't know if anybody gets those anymore. I hope people do. Anyways, you reacts in 2 ways. He starts up his own +1 for infantry, and he's adding in tanks. To me, in TV Scion, it's tanks that are the weapon to beat. Zerg and Protoss have carved out very specific counters to the Terran tank. But the players of the Scion races are still finding their way, and that makes the tank so powerful. Genetron getting +1 ground plating and madcap rounds. That's a range upgrade for the Spitfire. Genetron's gonna try a counterpunch, once again with the Spitfires. Yu has salvaged his bunker. He's relying on tanks as he tries to land his 3rd. Marauders are helpful, but they don't counter the Spitfires per se. They're bonus damage against armor, and Spitfires are light, and there's just too many of them. Oh, but a well-placed high ground tank forces them all back. Oh, nice move here. He's gonna lift the command center, it's gonna protect it, and it's gonna give him vision. His 2nd tank is gonna leapfrog forward under the cover of the high ground tank. Look how that command center floats back out. The Spitfires can't shoot up at it. It was a nice deadly strike by the Genetron, but I think the clock has run out on it. Oh, good recognition by Jason once again. He pulls back. I thought he'd throw away his army there. I think it's time for him to think about transitioning beyond Spitfires. We mentioned Insiders earlier, the Batmobiles. But how about a Fixer? Also bonus damage against light, but you can also use it to repair your other units. It's definitely not going to be Insiders. He's making 3 more manufacturers. He is making a single mole. Now that I think on it, the last time we saw Jason make a single mole, he wound up using it as a sensor turret. He buried it close to his opponent for vision. Yu is adding factories and tanks. I like that. I think he does that until his opponent gives him a reason not to. Pressure's on the Genetron to adapt now. Terra needs to think about getting bases, because the base count is 4-3 in favor of Genetron. Terran doesn't have to panic though, mules will compensate. Yeah, Jason loves his Spitfires, he's making them 6 at a time. Tank schmank, you get enough of these babies you can overwhelm them. They only cost 100 minerals, no gas, and that just frees up so much gas for him to spend in other ways. This game has really opened up well, my interest is definitely peaked. Mass upgrading by all, but an assembly ray going down for Genetron. He's gonna have the gas to make some air units. Oh, the reason those Spitfires now have red lasers protruding from them, that graphic means the Madcap range upgrade has been researched. It kicked in right as that last battle took place. Now we also see Genetron building generators. I'm not sure yet what Jason's plan really is for his energy. His production facilities are in performance mode, and he hasn't really shown us any units that particularly suck energy. Oh, that mole sensor tower spotted that Terran squad. Oh, and here's the intercept force. Those Marines were relying on stealth and it failed. That mole is in a really good place. But not to be deterred, Yu has a 2nd squad on the right-hand side. No mole to catch him out there. Oh, but Jason's intercept force is also gonna be attacking. He's going at the Terran 3rd. We got simultaneous hits there. Yu's gonna catch the turrets just as they're finishing. Are there too many Spitfires for the tanks? Project Overwhelm is underway. Spitfires have 90 hit points, they can take a tank hit. The high ground tank though remains a problem, but it can't cover the whole platform. Oh, Yu needs to lift that orbital, he needs to, oh! Jason snipes the 3rd, that's a big deal. I was about to say Terran's down to 2 bases, but he has started a new location in the top center. That is his saving grace. That, and he's doing good damage topside. Look at this great reaction. The SCVs from his destroyed base run right over to the new base. Barely misses a beat. Jason forced to defend with an Avenger. That's not a matchup he wants. But now his Spitfire Horde is coming home and he will be able to clean this up. Oh, he's added an Inciter in there too. That is bad for you. Not you personally, I mean the Terran. For us, an Inciter, aka the Batmobile, is always good news. I don't know if we've seen it on this channel yet, but not only can the Inciter jump up and down cliffs like a Reaper still, but they have an additional ability called the Elor Protocol. They can use energy to just jump really far. It's like a pouncing maneuver. Hope we get to see it. Oh, nothing sadder than a large gaping hole where an orbital once was. Yu's making 2 new command centers. He's like a Hydra. Cut off 1 head and 2 shall grow in its place. And after all this excitement, our players are essentially dead even on army and practically dead even on workers. But this is potentially significant. Jason's making a play for the rich gas geyser. The one on the left-hand side, the one closest to him. This is prime real estate if you can hold it. It's like gold minerals. You can't afford to allow your opponent to hold it for too long. So the Batmobile has Halifax grenades, which do 8 damage, but it's 16 versus light. And there's 2 of them, so it's actually 32 damage at a range of 7, which outranges the Marines. And that is why Inciters can just annihilate clumps of Marines. And yes, it does look like Yu is now aware of all of Jason's bases. Oh, and he went for Fortress at his lateral third. He is expecting an attack there. No sign that he's looking to shut down the rich gas geyser base just yet, though. He's got an expeditionary force on the other side. Inciters cost a lot of gas. They're 150 minerals, 150 gas. So having that rich Vespene could really help here. Jason catches wind of Yu's attack. He rips his forces to the east. But Yu actually has a second force that is going west. The mole's gonna catch that. But I think Yu has sacrificed a small force to pull Jason out of position. This is cerebral play by Yu. That lets him run in there and trash that processing core. And his Stim Marines may be fast enough to get in and get out. Core goes into lockdown and implodes. The Batmobiles are late to the party. The Marines are going to try to defend the high ground, but they are getting attacked from 2 sides. Yu tries to pick up and escape with his medevac, but the Avengers have something to say about that. They are air-to-air strike units. They will eat your medevacs for breakfast and then put a spoonful of Metamucil in their orange juice. Jason wants vengeance for losing his core, but I don't think this is wise. He snipes a refinery, but then does an excellent pullback. How does Yu react to the Avengers? Does he just use Marines? That could be problematic with the Batmobiles on the field. Jason, looking to rebuild his rich base. Yu knows about it with a timely scan. Looky, looky, we've got an Olympus on the field. This is the new Genetron nuke building. We haven't seen it yet on this channel, but I did do a little preview on it. It lets you drop an electrical bomb at any range. You just have to have vision, and it costs a truckload of energy. But hold the phone, we've got more conflict. Yu's looking to lure Jason into his tanks. He's not prepared to let Jason just have that rich gas geyser. Oh, the Inciters just make those Marines go poof. But the tanks are also doing their job. The reinforcement Marines arrive, they're gonna stim. The Inciters need to stop him or he's gonna get the core again. The Inciters abdicated their post and the Marines took the core. Yu shuts Jason down for the 2nd time. Oh, and this time I think he's gonna try to reinforce it with his tanks. He means to hold it. Yu with the big army lead. This game has swung into his favor. Jason's gonna double down on his composition. More Spitfighters, Inciters, and Avengers on the way. He definitely has an army to rebuild. It's Marines and tanks for Yu, but also with some Marauders being mixed in again. I understand them now. They're gonna be very useful against the Batmobiles. I think Yu was just ahead of me and thinking ahead when he made them the first time. He knew the Inciters were coming before we did. And I'm wrong, he's not gonna try to hold the rich base. He's gonna take a closer, more conservative base instead. Jason, gonna try a little run by here. He needs something to get back into this game. There's a fortress up there though. The sensor tower spots it, the scan confirms it, and the tank is there. Fortress is gonna clean this up. Jason got a tank, but he didn't do the economic damage he was hoping for. Yu just demonstrating the power of Terran vision. Well, plan B, if you can't eliminate an opponent's expansion, you can always take one more of your own. Yu's pretty close to maxing out. And he's well aware of Jason's expansion, and he's gonna add a second starport. He doesn't have the supply room for a transition, but he might be ready if he gets the chance. And he might be getting serious about taking that rich gas geyser. He's building a command center that just might have its name on it. Jason knows he's poking around though. He's still got that mole keeping tabs on everything. Ooh, ships passing the night. You slips by his defenses. Oh, this is a little bit base racy here. No, Jason's gonna opt to defend. He's gonna be able to come at those tanks from behind. That's an opportunity for him. He's gonna be able to reset that tank count. Marines are gonna chase everybody away, but there were heavy losses on the Terran side there. Suddenly this game is closer than it was 2 seconds ago. But you is carving into the production. The Genetron Insiders do not have that protective escort of Insiders. Jason's gonna elect to let that base be sacked. I see his plan. It's one of patience. He is making Badgers. Badgers are definitely good against tanks, and I think they'll be pretty good against Marines as well. But he has to live long enough to squeeze them out of his assembly arrays. You might be sensing something's up because he's adding 2 more starports. Wow, I thought this game was over for Jason, but he is macroing his way out of a deficit here. Maybe he can use his Olympus to ward off the Terran and buy him some time. Oh, catches a party of Marines that have strayed too far away from their tank support. Oh, and look at that. Then he pulls back before he eats a volley. Jason has almost caught up on Army, but I shouldn't get too excited because he's about to lose another base. The processing core is on lockdown and it blows to high heaven. He's gonna reveal his Badger here for the first time. And just to be showy about it, he's gonna make sure it has its power shell on. That is where you consume energy to act as a force field. It's not cloaked, it's tanking shots. 2 more Badgers on the way. Jason's making a move here. No sign of anti-air production by you just yet. He's making Marauders. Fortunately, he has been building starports as insurance. And speaking of insurance, as he attempts to take the rich base, he makes 2 more command centers behind him. He's probably speculating this won't be an easy take. Oh, here we go. We got some Vikings in production now. And 2 more reactors on the way to help them out. You recognizes he's gonna need some air support. Will there be a window for the Badgers though before he's ready? There's no way to turn that power shell off, by the way. It consumes energy until you run out. Though I should say power, not energy, because it consumes the global power of the Genetron. Oh, big clash here, but there's nothing to deal with those Badgers. The Badger Hellraiser guns do 12 damage at an astounding 0.2 seconds. They just lay waste to ground units. Oh, that was huge. You went from having the bigger army to half the army in just a few nanoseconds. Talk about your window indeed. Jason completely found his moment to turn this game around. You needs that air transition stat. But the problem is, Jason's been making Avengers this whole game. He's ready for Vikings. I think he's planned this out. And you can see how that mole's been providing intel for quite some time. And to capitalize on his sudden fortune, Jason's gonna take the other rich gas geyser. Or at least the mineral component of it. He doesn't actually have a filtering plant yet. Yu's gonna spot that, but can he do anything about it with this Badger patrol? Oh, Yu is actually going for Liberators. Obviously, Liberators are always good to have, but I'm not sure that's the anti-air he needs right now. He does have a hit squad of Vikings. Can he use their range to his advantage here? The Avenger has a range of 6, the Viking has a range of 9. I believe the Badger's air weapon is also only 6. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. What am I, Aristotle? Am I in a book of famous quotes now? There you go, the Vikings bring down that lone Avenger. Oh, the Avenger was acting as a spotter for the Olympus. That blue glow is like the nuke warning. The command center's gonna try to fly out of there, but the missile turret can't. 50 damage from the hit, plus 100 damage over 7 seconds. Look how fast that Olympus is recharging. There's a lot of generators available to the Genetron. And while everybody pulls back, Jason's gonna try to strike. Liberator circles create a line of defense, and Jason pulls back. That was pretty intense. So the Olympus doesn't do a crazy amount of damage. I mean, if it did, there'd be no reason why Genetron players wouldn't just build 5 of them. So while I'd like to see it do more destruction, I kinda get why it can't. Because I guess you could argue it has the best range in the entire game. Oh, this is gutsy. He's gonna try to take the base. He does so well knowing that Jason's right out there. Power shells go, Liberator circles go. Who's got this? It's carnage, supplies are dropping. The tanks in the back are destroying everything on the ground. But I think the power shells are carrying the day. It's the Genetron Badgers that are gonna come out on top. The Terran army is once again crippled, but it's not like the Genetron are looking all that healthy. The other thing to really notice in that fight was the Badger's melee's targeting system. That's the unique ability that lets the Badger attack both air and ground at the same time. So the Badgers were actually blowing up the medevacs at the same time they were killing the Marines. Oh, look at Yu's reaction. He's gone for battle cruisers and he's researching Yamato cannon. He's like, you forced me to do this. It's not like the Terran capital ship is all that shabby. Both our players actually have gas gluts but are short on minerals right now. That's probably why Yu's making more Vikings instead of going all battle cruiser. And there are really not a lot of mineral bases left. This one here is the only one on tap. Jason was guarding it with the turret, but I'm betting Yu has a spare CC he'd be happy to fly over. And since they're in the neighborhood, maybe they can pick up some worker kills here before the Power Shell gang gets over here and mops them up. Because it certainly looks like you need a lot of Marines to stand up to a Badger. Oh, heads up, we got another Olympus nuke. Yu is on it with a worker pull. You know what? The technical term for an Olympus nuke is called a discharge. I think we're open to a cooler name. I mean, it's such a cool effect and such a cool concept. Oh, the tank was unable to move and he's now just deep in the red. Meanwhile, those Marines got cleaned up, but they did get some kills along the way. And the battle cruisers are getting their revenge. Oh yeah, we know how to annihilate things on the ground too, you know. Battle cruisers versus Badgers. I don't know if we've seen this before. At least not with the power shell, but how much energy does Genetron still have? Or I guess I should say power, because the power shield uses power. My brain is gradually picking up on the difference. Oh, the tank that was softened up by the Olympus dies to a single pop. Yamato cannon is almost done. 5 more BCs on the way. Jason remains totally maxed out, and he's building a bank at this point so he can afford to start dropping some turrets. Then he won't have to run back and forth with his army quite so much. It amazes me that while this is all going on, he still has time to hit his mining priorities. For me, that's like the first thing that goes in the heat of combat. But you know, it is possible we could actually mine this map out. This game has been intense, and once again, there's gonna be a fight over that rich gas geyser location. Yu puts designs on it yet again. That has definitely been the hamburger hill of this game. Oh, Olympus shot. Terran has to pull back. I don't think the sensor tower gets to survive it though. And this is why Jason has built so many generators, so he can sustain this kind of activity. Yu's trying to catch up on his air upgrades. Jason's already got him squared away. There, you can see that Olympus is empty. You gotta load it up with 1500 energy if you want to fire it. I'm really worried that Jason is giving Yu time to rebuild his army here. I think his plan is to starve out the Terran. Hold the bases, suck up the minerals. It's a good plan, but it does mean at some point he's gonna have to face a 200 supply air army from Yu. I think he's gonna want a bunch more assemblies because I think there's gonna be like a race to Remax here. I'm expecting a huge clash and then it's gonna be... then what? Oh, Yu's adding Ravens to his composition as well. I'm thinking that's for the anti-armor missile. It may be effective, but it's still the ugliest effect in all of StarCraft 2. Let's turn the enemy orange. Jason, turning around, he's looking to shut down Yu's base in the top right. I think these Marines are just trying to grab attention. He wants that army floating east. Spitfires are back. They try a run by there, but they're a little bit too early. The command center hasn't landed yet. Oh my god, Jason's building a second Olympus. Is that legal? I feel like that violates the Geneva Convention. We might be seeing a double discharge. Oh, there it was. Well, the Genetron army was pulled to the east. The BCs moved in. And that would not be the first time they destroyed that processing core. Yu's gonna want to get out of there before the main army arrives. Is he too late? He does have the hyper jump if he needs it though. Though if he does that, he has to sack the orbital he's got at the rich gas geyser. I think it's gonna be Hamburger Hill for battle number 10 here. Badgers versus BCs, let's make it happen. Oh yes, oh yes. There's an Olympus discharge going down at the same time. Is there gonna be a Yamato? Yes, but not just a Yamato, also an anti-air missile. Yu actually has time to do the worker pull, and he retreats the CC. The Genetron army is absolutely taking the worst of it. Supplies are collapsing, but the Terran is coming out on top. Yu has turned this game around. It's an army lead, a worker lead for Terran. The only difference is Jason still has his bank, particularly a big gas bank. That means he's got some insiders available to do some damage. Oh, they need to find those workers hiding in the corner. Yes, please. Carcass, carcass. Raven auto turrets to the rescue. That chart I just pulled up shows us that U has actually been slightly more efficient in terms of resources lost, and he is pressing his advantage. He's going after Jason's secret assembly array stash. Jason is switching back to Avengers. I really like that. The Avengers Vengeance Missile does significant bonus damage against Massive, which is exactly what BCs are. I've never seen it done, but in theory they should be battlecruiser killer. You gotta micro it, but I could see it being done. And here they come. The BCs are gonna try to get on top of them. Anti-armor missile everywhere. There's actually a Virtus down in there. And now the Ravens are dropping auto turrets. The Sky Terran of tomorrow has won this battle. My bad, the Vengeance missiles didn't happen, but the end result is that the Terran has a toehold, a foundation right into the Genetron base. With his assembly arrays getting smashed, he's gonna try putting out torrents. Terrific long-range anti-air capabilities. The first of which are already going to work here, but he's gonna need a lot more to deal with those BCs. Especially since Yu seems to be macroing all of his money into making more of them. And the Terran has breached the main. Jason's army is looking quite smallish. He's actually managed to take the final mineral field. That is strategically important, but he's at risk of getting hollowed out here. Yu's gonna be able to camp on top of his production. He can kill everything as soon as it gets fabricated. And Jason has that classic problem where he's got his units popping out one at a time. He needs to get them together into that fist. But that's easy to say and so hard to do. Little skirmishes breaking out everywhere. It's chaos, but not a good kind of chaos for Jason. There is so much he needs to clean up right now. He's trying to get those turrets together. Oh, the Amatos are firing. There's nowhere to run from those. The core at the main has gone into lockdown. Oh, are those the Manor Mules? Oh, I think those are actually just mules for repair, but they could be Manor Mules. Yeah, those mules are repairing for sure. They're there for a purpose. They're not just there dropping a disc. That manufacturer wasn't overclocked, but now it's locked down. Avengers came back to fight, but they are getting ripped apart. The Olympus is getting raked over by the battle cruisers. Jason has an army, but it's still looking rather awful for him right now. He's got a ton of gas, but he can't get any units together. It's a horrible way to go, but it absolutely happens. 4 more BCs in production. It's almost hard to recollect how far behind you was in this game. This is a definite comeback. I definitely feel for Jason here. It's gotta be hard to hit the GG key when you know you've got almost 4,000 in gas. He's trying to raid on Hamburger Hill here. It's not a bad idea if he can pull the BCs away from his base. Maybe he can mount a recovery. Oh my god, he's not gonna seriously make a game of this, is he? Jason takes down the Terran base. What a weird game. Jason is out-mining the Terran by a significant amount right now. You've got almost no money coming in, but he is ripping the Genetron to shreds right now. Oh, he's reclaimed his base, or at least he's long-distance mining it. It's money versus power, and it looks like power's got the advantage. Usually those two things are synonymous, but right now, not so much. Jason's main has been decimated. His natural's not looking so hot either. Definite advantage to you on the resources lost category. Yu's killing him, but Jason still has all this money coming from the top right-hand side of the map. A wing of Avengers are gonna try again. They need to use those Vengeance missiles. They're getting support from the blitzers below them. Remember, they can all shoot up. Raven auto turrets to the rescue. And when the dust settles, there's once again nothing left of the Genetron army. Jason is typing. I think we're gonna see a GG. HM is not the correct letter. The game is not over yet. He's got questions, but I think that means he is done. Yu's reinforcing BCs have just linked up. They are pretty devastating at this point. We'll see if we can enlarge this conversation in post. Oh, he's unable to get his energy going. That's what happened. He couldn't get the Vengeance missile off to work. He ran out of power. Yu stopped attacking. I think we're in full-on conversation mode at this point. That is game, people. I so declare. What does Yu have to say? Oh, he's trying to explain the difference between energy and power. Most Genetron units require not just the energy on the unit, but also the power, which is the team energy that's up in the top right-hand corner. Well, we've got a dance to attend to, and then maybe a couple of post-game comments. Oh, this is one of my faves, and I haven't gotten to show it in a while. If you haven't seen it before, the mule really commits. Okay, we gotta talk about what happened at the end of that game, because it may be a public service to those learning to play Genetron. My single biggest fear is there's people out there who are gonna be too intimidated to play Genetron because they've heard that the whole power energy thing is too complex. It's not. It's a 5-minute mastery thing, and if you stick around, I'm gonna break it all down very simply here. Remember, if a dolt like me can do this, so can you. It'll also explain what happened to poor Jason at the end of the game. I can't quite prove it because my replay interface doesn't track energy, but I'm pretty sure we can deduce what happened. Jason built a second Olympus, and I suspect he tried to charge them both at the same time. It didn't have the power generation to support it. This was probably the first time he ever went late enough in a game that he tried for double Olympuses before. A neat idea. But they sucked up all his power, and as a result, he lost the ability to power the special abilities of his units. Suddenly, nothing was working. He didn't quite get why, and the frustration knocked him out of his mental game long enough that Yu was able to capitalize. I mean, how many times have we seen Yu come back from behind in the game? The dude's a cockroach. So here's what you need to know. Most Genetron units that have special abilities also come with an energy cost. It's the exact same as a Templar or a Ghost. You see that number right under their hit points. This is nothing new. The terminology doesn't really matter at all when you play the game, but for the sake of discussing it with other people, this number that each individual unit has is called energy. Here's an example. An Insider using his E-Lore protocol, aka the Batmobile Super Jump. It's pretty new. That's not a Reaper door. He's actually jumping over a wall here. Cool, eh? This costs 75 energy each time you use it, and it regenerates pretty quick. It's pretty decent for harassing a mineral line or for escaping a bad engagement, but not really a mid-combat ability, as that's when the Insider needs to be firing. Now, at the same time, Genetron has a global energy, which is tracked at the top of the screen in the right-hand corner. Think of this as Genetron's third resource, right after minerals and gas. You start out with a max of 400 at the start of the game, but I've got 550 here because you get plus 100 when you build a relay tower, and you get 50 more every time you build a generator, and I've built one of each of those. This number is called power. Think of power as your team energy score. Your team score or power is always rising, at least until it maxes out, because you have many ways of generating it. The processing core, your command center, generates it at a rate of 1 per second, and every node you build generates 1 point of power per second. Plus, generators are a special case. They contribute 4 power per second and really get your power humming. Since these are all things you probably need to build anyway, odds are good you'll have a decent power structure even without really giving it much thought. By the way, for the sake of my demo, I'm intentionally trying to have a poorly constructed power complex here because I'm going to want to run out of power. I should have way more nodes and probably more generators as well. Now here's the basic concept to wrap your head around. Every time you use a Genetron unit's ability that requires energy, an identical amount is also deducted from your team power. So for example, if I want my Insider to jump, it costs 75 energy. So the Insider's energy drops from 75 to 0, and my power simultaneously drops from 550 to 475. I pay the 75 energy cost twice. Both of these numbers then immediately start climbing back up. If I don't have 75 energy, the jump fails. If I don't have 75 power, the jump also fails. I'll get an insufficient power warning. So, if I jump an entire horde of Insiders, which I'm going to try because I just really want to see it, I could run out of power and the jumps will fail. Power is like a handbrake on the Genetron becoming too absurdly powerful. You can have your jumping insider horde if you want, but you better pay to build the generators to support it. And remember, when you overclock your production facilities, that costs power too. That's why when you click on a manufacturer, for example, you see it has an energy score. Now, the Olympus is a special case. It's a beast that requires a whopping 1,500 energy, and it does not have its own energy regeneration. You need to charge the Olympus up from your team power score. When you click on the button in the Olympus menu to charge it up, it starts to drain 70 power per second from your team power. Unless you've got a crazy ton of batteries, the reality is it's going to quickly drain all your global power and temporarily run it to near zero. At least until the Olympus is fully loaded, or you hit cancel because you've decided you've got something more important to spend your power on. And that's what I think happened here. So, TLDR, when you use energy, you use an equal amount of power. If you're running Olympuses, overclocking a whole bunch, or spamming unit abilities, it's possible you might not have enough power left. That's it. Now you know, and that's one to grow on.
And that's one to grow on.
Hopefully, my little educational tirade here has not detracted from the fact that this was an awesome game. The opening exchanges were super high level. Absolutely nobody was going to let their opponent have a rich Vespene. Great recognition and adjustments throughout. Do let me know your take on this game and maybe what matchups I should be hunting for next time. And in the meantime, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out.